Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends, wherever you are listening from. December 15th is a day I try to stay away from pleasure. In the year 2015, I wrote a book. It was the fourth book that year on diving deeper in prayer. In this book, I wrote about pleasure in chapter 3 as part of the hindrances to prayer. I would like to read a portion of that part. Quote, spending for pleasure. Maybe one of the most overlooked hindrances to prayer is what James called spending for pleasure. I say overlooked because a lot of hindrances to prayer fall under the category of pleasure, even though the word may not be popular associated with which hinders our prayer. It seems to me whatever is hindering us from approaching God or allowing God to work in our lives and use us for His glory has something to do with how much we love it. The hindrance brings some kind of pleasure to us, so we do not want to let go of the hindrance. We idolize the hindrance. Examples are Christians going to unnecessary parties, nightclubs, dances, and even other pleasurable activities on the weekends. As a result, these believers will not have time to participate in prayer meetings on the weekend or participate in Bible study classes. Peter made a compliment on those people who avoid such pleasures. Peter said, "For you have spent enough time in the past doing what pagans choose to do, living in debauchery, lust, drunkenness, orgies, carousing, and detestable idolatry." End of quote. 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 3. As Christians, we must guard ourselves from turning worldly things into looking good or looking like they are divine. There must be a clear line of demarcation between what believers and non-believers do, so that unbelievers may be drawn to our changed lifestyle and see the light of Jesus Christ in us that will make them desire what we have. I think this is again what Peter is saying in 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 5. Quote, "They are surprised that you do not join them in their reckless, wild living, and they heap abuse on you. But they will give account to Him who is ready to judge the living and the dead." End of quote. Am I saying that enjoying or having good time and godly pleasure is wrong? No, Far from it. I'm just expressing that praying believers and intercessor should watch how God's time is spent. Even Christian pleasures could lead to lethargy and prayerlessness. We did not should not miss our minds to say that we also have involved in such things. At one time when I was teaching on this subject, I had three probing questions from my students. Question number one, have you been to such parties? My answer was, yes, I have. That is why I know about them. Question number two, have you done these things? Answer, yes, I have. I've toasted. I've been where wine is. I've been where such pleasures are. Question number three, have you been spiritually affected by these parties? Of course, yes, I have. I came home one time early in the morning after spending an all night at a Christian party, and I was unable to go to church the following day. I was not even able to go to teach. It affected me and affected my own personal life and family. No one knew about pleasure than the one who lived the life of pleasure. He had everything he wanted in the world. He had gained the whole world except pleasure. So he tried to have pleasure and found it to be more dangerous than he thought. His name? King Solomon. And he had this to say. He wrote, I say to myself, I say to my own soul, come now, I will test you with pleasure to find out what is good. But that also proved to be meaningless. Laughter, I said, is madness. And what does pleasure accomplish? I tried cheering myself with wine and embracing folly, my mind still guiding me with wisdom. I wanted to see what was good for people to do under the heavens during the few days of their lives. I understood great projects. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. I made gardens and parks and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made reservoirs to water groves of flourishing trees. I bought male and female slaves and had other slaves who were born in my house. I also owned more herds and flocks than anyone in Jerusalem before me. I amassed silver and gold for myself and the treasure of kings and provinces. I acquired male and female singers and a harem as well, the delights of a man's heart. I became greater by far than anyone in Jerusalem before me. In all this, my wisdom stayed with me. I denied myself nothing, my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all my labor, and this was the reward for all my toil. Yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless. A chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. End of quote. Ecclesiastes 1 to 11. My friends, the fact that there are so many uses of the word I in this portion of scripture should not make anyone wonder about the power of pleasure and how it hinders one's prayer life. Count how many times the word I is mentioned in connection with pleasure. Solomon ended up with the conclusion that it was better to seek wisdom than folly. In the same chapter 2, verse 13, the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon concluded, I saw the wisdom is better than folly, just as light is better than darkness. Ecclesiastes 2:13. May God bless you. Have pleasure, but be careful. It could hinder your prayer. Thank you.